What's up, you guys? Matt Jablonski here with The Point of Change. I'm just trying to get this live pulled up over here on my phone so I can share it out a little bit. If you're not watching this live, drop me a hashtag replay and still hang out with me. If you are watching this live, give me some likes, give me some loves, give me some shares out in any addiction groups you may be a part of or onto your own page if you wish. I actually love it when people share me to their personal pages, because if you share me to addiction groups, everybody in addiction groups already knows about recovery. If you share me on your page, maybe some people in your life that don't know about recovery will see this video and then they find this wonderful world of recovery that is on Facebook. Shh, shh, quiet down, quiet down. Susan McIntosh, good morning. Brendan Clarkin, good to see you here. Thank you guys for being here. Give me some likes, give me some loves, give me some shares out in any addiction groups you may be a part of or onto your own page if you wish. This morning's topic is marijuana in the workplace. Honestly, I'm having a hard time not singing that. Marijuana in the workplace. Dan, dan. This is a topic of discussion that's going to become more and more regular, not here on The Point of Change, but in the world on the whole, because marijuana laws are moving forward in this country and in this world. It's becoming more and more a topic of debate with employers. What do they do about their policies that are in place? Morning, Derek. How you doing, brother? Good to see you here. Cindy Rader, good morning. Brendan Clarkin with 9 months. Right on, Brendan. Guys, throw up some hearts for Brendan. That is awesome. Thank you, brother, for sharing that with us. And keep going, man. 9 months is no small feat. Danielle Nicole, good morning. Derek, hey, what's up? Good morning, Matt. Good morning, Derek. How you doing, brother? Pam Schwerman, good morning. Good to see you here. Kyle Stone, thank you for joining me. Stephanie Wagner, good morning. Michael McNeil, good morning, recovery family, and good morning, Maddie. Hope all is well. God bless. God bless you, brother. Thanks for joining me. Guys, give me some shares out if you would. Josh and Lori Mutimer, how are you guys doing this morning? Dana Moore, good to see you. Courtney Lay, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you guys for joining me. Connie Calloway, good morning. Good to see you. Claire Law, all the way from the UK. Thank you for joining me. Matt Jablonski here, all the way from Wisconsin. What's up, guys? Quick shout out to Emma Guthrie for upping her level of supportership over on supportership. Is that a word? Either way, upping her membership over on Patreon so she could get listed as a founding member of Patreon. I'll give you guys a close up here. Take you off my, woo, going right past me. There she is, Emma with 61919. Thank you, Emma. If anybody out there is interested in becoming a supporter of The Point of Change, there is a link in the description of this video. Go to patreon.com/thepointofchange and select the membership that works for you. If you sign up at the platinum tier, you get your name and recovery date added to my banner. Brendan's sick this week, so that's why I made it to live. Oh, well, I'm sorry that you're sick, brother, but I'm glad you're here. Patrice Wasp, good morning. Good to see you here. Cindy says, I shared on my page. Thank you, Cindy. I appreciate that. Stephanie Wagner, I'm on medical marijuana in replacement of opiates for pain. Right on, right on. Marijuana is becoming more and more a viable tool in this world for medicine and for recovery. Pam Valesner, good morning. Good to see you here this morning. Susan, I have never smoked anything, but would love edible options for my anxiety and sleep issues. Think that's going to be a long time for Utah. Hey, you never know. These laws are becoming more and more progressive. There's actually 33 states in the union that have legalized marijuana and medical marijuana in some form. 11 states plus Washington, D.C. have laws that permit cultivation, possession, and use for all adults. So, I mean, it's becoming more and more widespread. That's why this is more and more a topic that we should talk about, is marijuana use in the workplace. This is becoming a very, what could we say, I don't even know if that turmoil. There's a lot of turmoil going on with employers with this, because this is a sensitive topic. You can't just have your employees running around stoned out of their gourds. It becomes a safety issue. It becomes a productivity issue. It becomes a problematic thing. But there's a lot of people in this world that use marijuana for its medical purposes, and they are medically allowed to do so. So employers are facing a very strange time right now. What do I do about this? You know, this guy can use marijuana, but this guy can't. How do we take care of that? How do our rules and regulations got to change? So this is an awesome topic and an awesome conversation to have. Tammy says, I'm on medical. Right on. Good to have you here, Tammy. I like having those kind of, I like having multiple different approaches to recovery here, and I like to have multiple different viewpoints on marijuana here too. So if there's anybody here that is like against marijuana or anything like that, that's awesome. I love having you here. Thank you for being here. I really am looking forward to hearing a lot of input on this one. Livy, good morning. Michael McNeil, Dana Moore, everything is going great. Hope all is well on your end, hun. Oh, I love seeing that. Brendan, I used to be able to do it and work. I couldn't do it now. Right on, you know, and there are people like me and others who suffer with anxiety and depression and use marijuana to help with their mental illnesses. Also me, it was a tool for my recovery. All of these, there's so many different medical options for marijuana. And so it becomes this gray area, you know, and especially nowadays with it becoming it's become legal on a recreational use level at a lot of places. So now it's really starting to get questionable because, you know, 20 years ago, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. 20 years ago, marijuana was kind of a sidebar thing that nobody really was talking about. Now it's a national discussion. You know, now it has opened up to where people want this, and it's become a thing that's become a regular conversation on a lot of levels, on a lot of people's platforms. So we're going to talk this morning about marijuana in the workforce, because that's where things start to get they start to change a little bit on us. Because, you know, if you have a medical marijuana card, well, then there is actually quite a lot of laws in place that protect you for using marijuana, protect you on drug tests at work, and they protect you from being discriminated against in the workplace, things like that, if you are using medical marijuana. So let's see here. I got all kinds of notes. I mean, I made some upright and some left and right, but I got all kinds of notes on this one. I got all kinds of good information from many different sources. We got all kinds of quotes here that I've been writing down. Good stuff, good stuff. I got good information for you guys. Michael McNeil, I order edible offline, but it's legal here. I'm not sure how it works in the USA. Well, it's legal in several different states. As I said, 33 states have legalized it in some form on a medicinal level. 11 states have legalized it, plus Washington, D.C. have laws permitting cultivation, possession, and use for all adults. So it's becoming more and more a thing here in the United States as well. Tammy, should make alcohol illegal, right? I've always been, that's a whole nother conversation we could have. Let's see, Belinda, depends on what state you're mailing to and from. Yes, you can't be mailing marijuana to an illegal state. Janine, New Zealand is trying to get it sorted for medical and for all. It's, you know, it's becoming more and more a topic of conversation for places to be legalizing it on many different levels. Stephanie Wagner, I just asked this with methadone and subs for heroin. Why not marijuana for pain and anxiety? I do have my card. Right on. Yes, there is a lot of different approaches to using marijuana as a replacement tool for opiates, things like that. It's making, you know, more and more as it becomes legalized and it becomes legal for testing and things like that. It's becoming more and more a viable option. Let's see, guys, give me some likes and loves if you're sitting in the background. Throw up some hearts or throw up some sad faces if you don't like this topic, or throw up some angry faces if it makes you mad, whatever it is. Let me know how you're feeling back there. Give me some comments. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know how you feel about this topic. Let's see. All right. Okay. So first thing is here, what does all of this mean for employers? Having employers out there and having all of this legalization happen across our country and around in our world, what does all this mean for employers? Well, you got to remember at the heart of this that it is up to each employer their own to make their decision as to what their rules are going to be. Their rules and regulations towards marijuana and towards failed drug tests. Are they gonna let them slide if you're failing for marijuana because it is legal for recreational use? The question is not that if it becomes legal, will it be okay to smoke at work? I mean, some workplaces, yes, honestly, as I found when I was doing some research this morning, some workplaces do allow smoking or using marijuana on premises and on the clock. This is not like dangerous jobs. Most dangerous jobs are going to have a strict no tolerance, zero policy, you know, zero use on or off the clock, not allowed. But when we're talking about a lot of it is people that work in the medical or marijuana field, not in the medical field, people that work in the marijuana field, there is a lot of jobs out there that allow you to use on the clock and off the clock. But there are other places that say, that you're allowed to use off the clock, but not on the clock. And that brings up an interesting conversation of how then do you test someone? How do you test someone who is using marijuana and determine whether or not they used it right now or if they used it last night, because marijuana stores in your fat cells and builds up over time. So you can have a lot of marijuana THC in your system and not have smoked that day, so it becomes where do we draw the line? Where does that come up? Let's see, most employers are still having a zero tolerance policy, but there are some that have changed their regulations. The question is not if it becomes legal, will you be allowed to smoke at work? Because, as alcohol is legal, but you can't come to work drunk. So, that's not the question that we're answering here today. Belinda, it'll be same as alcohol on the job on dangerous jobs. Yeah, but you see, if you come to work drunk or stoned, honestly, there are signs that we can see that you are drunk or stoned. But the question becomes, how do you test them? How do you, if you come in drunk, I can send you in, get a breathalyzer and find out if you've been drinking today. If you come in stoned, I can send you to take a piss test, but that piss test doesn't tell me, give me proof that you were smoking today. One that I did think of that wasn't listed on there is that they could use swab tests, because swab tests go back 12 hours or 24 hours on marijuana. But even that still is giving you a rough estimate of when was this used. Was it used off the clock? Was it used on the clock? And does that matter to the employer? Do they care if you use, if you use off the clock? Do they care or do they not care? That's always a big question. Let's see, Amy Reed, no card needed, but yes, we got shots. Right on. Michael McNeil, I know it helps more than most meds I was on from the doctor, leaving me to come off them meds and stuck with the medical marijuana. In this past 2 years, it has helped me with my PTSD, anxiety, and depression. Also helps me eat, because where I never want to eat because my anxiety. Right on, Michael. I'm glad it's helping you. I really am. I myself am against pharmaceutical companies. I don't believe in all that nonsense, putting any of the chemicals that they put into them pills into your body. I'm more of a naturalist, so marijuana fits right into that natural herbs and remedies kind of thing. Okay, so I have a rather long quote here, guys. This is from David Reicher. I think it's Reicher. I think I'm pronouncing that right. He is the CEO of legaladvice.com, and he is also an attorney. This is kind of long, so bear with me here, but this is really good information. Employers must understand their rights and duties when it comes to drug testing because state laws are evolving. Marijuana is still illegal on a federal level, and employers generally are allowed to have a drug-free workplace. However, it is important that you know whether any of your employees are medical marijuana patients and if state laws protect their usage of cannabis in the workplace. A company needs to be careful when disciplining medical marijuana users. Several states have specific laws protecting medical cannabis users from employer discrimination. Typically, employers can require drug testing before employment and at random times, so long as there is no discrimination against medical marijuana users who are legally allowed cannabis for medical reasons, end quote. That is really sums it all up there and really lets you know a lot of things too, that, there are people out there that are medically on marijuana. And if you are an employer, you definitely should know who on your payroll is using medical marijuana, who has a card, who does not. And you're really going to want to know that, because you can't just go around saying and, discriminating against a medical marijuana user if they're using it for anxiety, depression, things like that. Okay, so let's see. Some employers maintain strict zero tolerance laws, even off the clock. Others are relaxing policies and only discriminating employees for failed tests, or only disciplining employees for failed tests if it's clear their productivity has been impacted. Some employers even allow open consumption on the clock. I discussed that all a little bit, but most of the employers that allow open consumption on the clock are places that are, how would you say, cannabis culture involved. They're involved with the legalization process. They're involved with the growing process. They're involved in making edibles, things like that. They allow their employees to use on the clock. That's kind of that environment that you're going to be working in. Belinda, they do swab tests for nicotine and send it to your health insurance, and you have to pay an extra premium. Yeah, I have heard of that. Lynn Latour, I have a medical marijuana card as well, though prescription in New York State is very expensive. Yes, I have heard that same thing as well. Keith Kitson, same here, Matt. I use it for my anxiety and depression because fuck opiates. Right on, right on. I agree 100%. Fuck Big Pharma. Let's see. Brandy, I use marijuana to help my mental health issues. It is legal in Canada, but just like when you are on heavy pain pills, there is a limit. I wouldn't be operating any equipment. Don't need to hurt myself or anyone else. Agreed, Brandy. Agreed 100%. And, you know, with the legalization of marijuana, I really think that it's going to start, we're really going to see a lot of these questions that I'm bringing up right now are going to start getting answered. You know, how do we test for a person to see when the last time they used? I have no doubt that eventually they're going to come up with a test that you can either breathe in a thing or do a thing, and it'll tell you, you know, when this person last used. I have no doubt that eventually we'll come to that. And also with the legalization, we'll be able to use marijuana as more towards medication and less of it's kind of used as a dietary supplement right now because of the strict federal laws that are placed on it. So some of the guidelines on how it's grown and the dosage that comes out of each is pretty gray. That's kind of a gray area there. How much dosage do you need for such and such a problem and the other problem, you know? Matt Reeves says Quick Trip doesn't test for THC anymore. Yeah, and that's another thing, is that a lot of employers are loosening up their restrictions on people that are failing for THC. If you fail for THC, it's, you know, not as big of a deal. They're just watching for, unless you fail for THC, you're not prescribed to it. It's in an illegal state, then of course, that's zero tolerance territory right there. But if we're talking a legal state, either recreationally or you have a medicinal card, then that becomes that gray area again. And a lot of employers are saying, you know, it's okay as long as it's not other drugs and as long as you are not negatively impacted in your work performance. Hey, Dresden, how you doing, brother? Good to see you here. Randy, they have roadside tests ramp can tell how long ago you used THC. Oh, really? Really? I didn't hear anything about that when I was reading this dang thing this morning. What the heck? Belinda, my doctor and I agreed that it's better than going on medications. I agree 100%, especially depression medications, because depression medication is always, in my opinion, is always such a guinea pig process. We'll try this one. If it doesn't work, we'll try less of it. We'll try more of it. We'll try this one. We'll try that one. And a lot of times you end up physically addicted to a drug that wasn't doing anything for you. Like in my experience, when I was put on an antidepressant, I was taking it for a little while. I didn't like the way it made me feel. Yes, I didn't feel depressed, but I started not feeling happy as well when I was on it. I didn't like the way it made me feel. So I went back to the doctor and I told him that I had stopped taking it. And he was like, when did you stop taking it? Don't just stop taking it. Take half a pill. From now on, you know, do the same schedule, but I want you to take half of what you were originally, you know, prescribed to take. And then take a quarter of that and wean yourself off of this. Don't just stop taking it. And I'm like, the hell did you put me on, bro? So it's that's a scary territory for me. Let's see, Belinda, I can't smoke though. I can do edibles. I have heard of such, you know, I've heard of people that use edibles instead, and that's becoming more and more a viable option too, because of the fact that smoking anything is not good for you. Cigarettes and marijuana, anything, putting smoke into the human lungs is not good for you. So edibles have become more and more a viable option for marijuana users. Okay, let's move on to another quote. Why not? Derek Rydell, he is the owner of Civilized, which is a cannabis lifestyle company, like we were saying before. This is a place, I don't know exactly what they do, but it's a cannabis lifestyle company. so they're doing something with cannabis in a legal state somewhere. And he actually allows consumption of marijuana on the clock, off the clock, whenever. It's perfectly okay. You can actually take a break from working and go outside or go to the designated area and use marijuana. Let's see. He says it's more common to see employers loosen up regulations for patients with a valid card, but even that is not guaranteed. So yeah, that's very true. You know, it really depends on the discretion of the employer. This next guy, I'm going to try the best with this name. It's Abtin Hashiman. He is the owner of a Subway franchise in Los Angeles, and he is the other way. He says he's, you know, but here he got a little loose leaf on me with this quote, because he says, I have no plans to relax any drug policies in and around my work environment as we move forward in this new era of tolerance and legality of cannabis. But then, oh wait, not yet. He says, I've had to terminate several employees due to performance-related issues caused by cannabis intoxication while on the clock. So he had a few employees that came to work stoned and screwed up, and he had to fire them. But then he added to it, I am sure many well-performing employees consume cannabis off the clock, and I am indifferent to it as long as their work is to par. So as long as you're doing a good job, he's okay with it. So that's where it's kind of like a little bit like, all right, dude, so are you good or not? You know? But either way, you know, that kind of shows the relaxed attitude that's coming towards marijuana too. People are more and more seeing it as a medication and as a viable option in this world for depression, anxiety, things like that. And they're more understanding towards people who use it, not only medicinally, but recreationally. People are becoming more and more open-minded to it and realizing, hey, you know, I smoked a joint back in the day too, so blah, 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 blah. Let's see, Stephanie Wagner, my recovery time is 72 days. Right on, Stephanie. Thank you for sharing that with us. Guys, throw up some hearts for Stephanie on 72 days. That is awesome. Let's see, Amy Reed, I was taking Xanax 2 milligrams 3 times a day for my anxiety, but now I smoke a little weed and I am good, so I stopped taking my pills. And you are not uncommon on that ground there, Amy. A lot of people have said the same thing, that marijuana helped them step away from their pharmaceutical medications. Dresden, I had a mini heart attack after getting something from the doctor, and since then I haven't gone back. MJ has helped my life with my depression and my anxiety. Right on, Dresden. Glad to hear it. Pam, I believe that everyone has their own recovery program, and mine is not using any legal or illegal substances. I've tried THC twice in my life years ago and dislike it both times, but if it works for you, great, and that's none of my business. Right on, Pam. And much like in any case, if you use medication that isn't prescribed to you, or if you don't have a problem and you use a medication, it gets you fucked up, right? I mean, I think we all as recovering drug addicts know that. If you're not prescribed to a medication and it's not, you're not intended to be using it, it's going to give you some adverse side effects that we would call getting high. What is this? What is this? What just happened? Did my live video cut out on you guys? It cut out on my phone. I think it's still up. I think we're still good. Okay, I'm gonna keep rolling. Dresden says it's not for everyone. Yes, and I have said it in the past and I'll say it again. My recovery could kill you. Your recovery could kill me. This is a very to each their own process, just like everything we're talking about here is a very to each their own kind of thing. You know, it's to each employer's discretion whether they decide to tolerate marijuana on their workplace or off the clock or any of that. Everybody says you're still here. You're good. Right on. Thank you. Glad to hear it. Facebook, why are you giving me mini heart attacks? What's up with that, huh? Courtney, clean date from drugs is June 23rd, 2019. Sober since November 27th, 2019. Clean and sober. That's what's up. Right on. Good to hear. So true. I remember I hurt my back and the doctor gave me muscle relaxers and all I remember is sleeping and being dizzy and high. Right? If you end up taking medication that you're not supposed to take, you will end up getting high. You know, so those of us who are using marijuana in a medical sense and it works for us, you know, it works for us. It doesn't make us crave other drugs. It doesn't make us run around and steal and be dumb, you know. But just like any medication, taking too much of it can also have adverse effects. And while with marijuana, of course, you just get stoned, but being stoned, and you know, can definitely, it screws up your motivation for sure. It screws up your concentration. It screws up your hand-eye coordination. It can really screw up your depth perception. So it's important. That's why I think it's also so important that we get medical marijuana and just marijuana in general legalized, is so that there can be more research on the dosage that you need and stuff like that. So you don't end up having people that are just, oh, shouldn't have took that last hit. Now I'm screwed up. You know what I mean? Angie, the real problem is people judging what others do in their recovery. Well, you know, there's a problem across this whole world of people not minding their own business. But there's also a problem of people not being open about what worked for them as well, too. And that gets fought a lot by the stigma in recovery of the 100% clean world that doesn't accept people that use a maintenance drug or something like that. that they put this stigma that you can't do it. And then you have a lot of people out there who recovered from an extremely hardcore addiction, right? They were addicted to pharmaceuticals, addicted to illicit drugs. They were stealing, they were lying, they were, running around, missing out on family functions, doing all this nonsense. And they quit all of that. Now they're doing really good in life, but they still smoke a little marijuana, and they will recover in silence because they're afraid that if they come out and say, yeah, I'm recovering from a meth addiction, but I still smoke pot, that people will bash them and say, well, then you're not recovered. No, get the hell out of our meeting. If you're smoking weed, get out of here. You're done. You're still using, you're still on a drug, get out of here. So instead they recover in silence and never celebrate their recovery. They never come out and say, hey, 5 years off of meth today, because they're still smoking pot and somebody will judge them on that. So that's why I'm so open about everything here. I want you guys to celebrate everything. Whatever you're going through, progress, not perfection, right? So, if you're still smoking weed, still on antidepressants, or maybe you drink too many Monsters and rock stars, I still appreciate you. I still love you, and I'm applauding your progress all the time. Lynn Latour, absolutely, Matt. This is why I love you and the point of change. Oh, thank you, Lynn. Let's see. Let's move on. Here's another, this is a good point. This is for jobs with a increased risk factor, right? Like construction work, factory work, and especially people who are driving, like public transit workers, stuff like that. There is a study in the Journal of Occupation and Environmental Medicine that says the risk is amplified when driving vehicles. And there is an increased risk of injury in high-risk jobs. So that's where you have a lot of your high-risk jobs, construction work, factories, are not going to lower their standards and say, it's okay for you to smoke marijuana. Unless, like we said before, unless you're in a state that's legal and you have a medicinal card, then you might get a break on that. And that's, becoming more and more prevalent in today's society, where jobs are giving you a break on that kind of stuff. Amy Reed, yes, made me loopy, so now I smoke a little. I don't do it every day, only when needed. Right on, Amy, right on. Michael McNeil, I had bad drinking of Monster energy drinks. Yeah, I get bad when I drink energy drinks, dude. It just brings out the crackhead in me really quick. Josh and Lori, I love the Mean Bean, brother. I can relate. Mean Bean, man, that Rockstar Coffee stuff, man. Dresden, they're embarrassed. I get it. I was too. But since watching you, I've been open with it, and now proud instead of ashamed. Right on, Dresden. No reason to be embarrassed or ashamed, man. If you're smoking a plant, no reason to be embarrassed or ashamed. It's you out there smoking the devil's lettuce. How dare you, Whatever, guys. I think if you're doing better in life and if you're adulting, that's like my big rule. If you're adulting, I don't look so much for drug use as I look for addiction. We look for signs and symptoms of addiction. Yes, drug use is a sign and symptom of addiction, but just like any other disease, if you see one sign or symptom, does that mean that the disease is like overtaking this person and they're, in deathly, one person coughs. We don't say, oh, he's coughing, so he must have cancer. We got to save him. No. So when it comes to the disease of addiction, you see one sign and symptom of the disease of addiction doesn't necessarily mean it's the disease. You know what I'm saying? I hope that makes sense to you. So when I see somebody that still smokes pot, I look for other signs and symptoms of the disease of addiction. Are you lying? Are you, using compulsively? Are you still prioritizing your family? Are you screwing off at work? There's so many other signs and symptoms to correlate. Are they still suffering with addiction? And like I've said in the past, people say a drug is a drug is a drug is a drug. And people say, you're just switching one drug for another. If that were true, I would still be doing all the same nonsense I was doing on meth. When I'm using marijuana, I would still be stealing. I would still be lying. I would still be missing out on family functions and trying to dip out and just being a terrible piece of shit. No, none of that other stuff is in my life anymore. But yeah, I still use marijuana. So you know what I'm saying? I hope you guys know what I'm saying. Deborah, I drink rock stars. Yeah, right on. Let's see. Anybody taking pills is not clean, says Tammy. Well, it depends on what pills. And I shouldn't even say that. Honestly, yeah, you're correct. They're not clean. Are they going to pass a piss test? Not necessarily, but some people need medications to keep them right. Some people need antidepressants. Some people need anxiety medications. and it helps them, you know, that kind of stuff helps them in some cases. Myself, I don't like pharmaceuticals. Marijuana helps me on that level. But I guess, you know, it's where, whatever, you know, that's the big thing that I always come to when people do the whole "you're not clean" thing. I just say, so what? That was your goal in recovery, was to be 100% clean. And that's awesome. If that's your goal of recovery, is to be 100% mood and mind altering substance free, that's awesome. But that doesn't mean it has to be my goal in my life. That doesn't have to be my goal in my recovery, you know? So to me, when somebody says you're not clean, you're right. I'm not 100% clean, but I'm living a hell of a lot better than I was before. So I don't really give a shit about having that little shiny badge of honor that says 100% over here. I don't really care. I don't care. You can keep your little trophy. I don't give a shit. Let's see. Lorna, just need to make changes on my usage. Right on, Lorna. I'm glad you're working on it and figuring things out. Lorna messaged me for some help with lowering her dosage of marijuana. I gave her some tips and some tricks to help her out. You know, we're running a trial period right now, right? Let's see. What did I see here? Paul, why is that not coming up over here, but it's coming up over there? But anyways, Paul Willis says, I love weed. It helps me relax. It's safer than alcohol, and it's legal. What the fuck? Right, right on. And that's legal. What the fuck? I hear you, Paul. I hear you on that one. Let's see, Angie, no one will ever tell me I'm not clean. I don't give a fuck what anyone says about my recovery. Right on. And that's what I always say is, you know, maybe I'm not 100% clean, but I am in recovery. You know, you can't tell me that. I might be doing it a different way than you. I might be doing it some way that you don't like. Maybe I'm even doing it wrong. But you know what? I'm still doing it. Like, if one guy, like, let's say there's this badass guitar player. Dude can just shred, right? Plays guitar all day long, been doing it for years. He's amazing. He had the best mentor in the world, learned how to play guitar, and he's just been rocking it, right? And then another guy comes along, and he's only been playing the guitar for a couple of years, and he's not as good at it. And he learned a totally different way. He uses total different fingering. Maybe he plays the opposite way. Both of those guys still play guitar. You know, they're both still playing guitar. We can't look at the guy that's really good and have this guy that's really good at playing guitar look at a guy who's not good at it and say, you're not actually playing guitar because you're not doing it the way that I do it, so you're not actually playing guitar. No. You're both playing guitar. You're just doing it differently. Same thing with recovery. You know, yeah, that guy might have the best freaking sponsor in the world, and he's 100% clean, and he's been doing it for years, and he's great at it, and he just walks through this recovery life. And then there's another guy over there who's on an MAT drug and doesn't have a sponsor, doesn't go to meetings because he doesn't have those opportunities available to him. But both of you guys are still in recovery. You're both doing the same freaking thing. You're just doing it a different way. Okay. See, what else do I got written down here? Workers' compensation laws that are affected by marijuana use. This is something that is becoming that is evolving as we go through this marijuana culture. Workers' compensation laws. If you get hurt while you're working and then you fail the piss test for marijuana, what happens? Especially in some states, they are lowering and your consequences. They're still providing a consequence for it. But for instance, right here in my great state of Wisconsin, your benefits get lowered by 15% if you fail for marijuana. If you have a workers' compensation thing and you fail for marijuana on your drug test, your compensation will be reduced by 15% or up to $15,000 less compensation. Which you might think, hey, that's kind of bullshit, but honestly, I think it's cool because that's progressive as opposed to many other states where if you fail for THC, you get no workers' compensation, such as Michigan, right next door. If you fail your piss test for THC after getting hurt at work, you do not get any benefits whatsoever. So Wisconsin's progressing on those laws, and I think other states are going to progress as well. Also, another aspect of that, because yes, workers' compensation laws are affected by it. A journal by the name of Health Economics states that states with medical marijuana programs saw a 7% decrease in workers' compensation claims in other occupations, not in high risk environments, but in the environments like office related and marijuana culture environments, stuff like that. People people that were using medical marijuana, they saw a 7% decrease in workers' compensation claims. And they actually believe that it's because the marijuana was treating the things that would originally cause someone to eventually have a workers' compensation claim, such as, like the repetitive nature of your business, things like that can eventually lead to you taking time off of work. That's all. Is that all I wrote down? No, I have one more. I knew I wrote down more. The final conclusion to everything we've talked about is that ultimately it's up to each employer to decide their own regulations on cannabis in the future, but it is undoubtedly something that is going to have to be discussed as marijuana use and legalization is going to continue. No matter, if you're for it, if you're against it, either way, this day and age, marijuana has become it's a national conversation at this point. Everybody wants to hear about it. Everybody wants to talk about it. Whether it's legalized medicinally or recreationally, everybody seems to be on board. I shouldn't say everybody's on board. What I should say is that the majority of people are on board for medical marijuana use and for recreational marijuana use. I myself am a pro-marijuana advocate. I do, of course, with all things in this world, there is a negative and a positive to it. Is it the magic cure-all that some people seem to think it is? Everybody seems to be just, oh no, marijuana will fix that, marijuana will fix this, marijuana will do this. Not for everybody. And I really don't think we should put it on that pedestal of that it's some magic cure-all and that it's the fix for everything. I don't believe that's right. But for the people that it works for, it works great. And I also believe, you guys can kind of see my whiteboard. I'll lead you through my theory on addiction and marijuana as a maintenance drug. Is marijuana is known as the gateway drug, correct? Yes, everybody knows that. Let me turn you a little bit sideways here. There you go. Marijuana is known as the gateway drug because it can get people that only use marijuana. You can end up using other drugs because of that. And when I say that, people like to say, no, it's not the gateway drug because marijuana never made me want to do other drugs. And for me, it doesn't make me want to do other drugs. I don't smoke weed and then say, oh my God, I wish I had some meth, or oh my God, I wish I had some heroin. That doesn't happen to me. Some people have had that happen. So that's, to say that it doesn't make you want to do other drugs, that's not true for everybody. Some people smoke marijuana and then they're like, oh my God, I wish I could get some dope right now. I'm great. I feel great right now. I wish I could feel even better. Or in that case, I wish I could feel even worse and go get some heroin. But anyways, I'm not actually saying that. When I say that marijuana is the gateway drug, because I believe that is true, what I'm saying is, here's how I explain it. Let's say you don't do any other illegal drugs. Wonder if there's a better way I could set you guys up. I think I can. Hang on, give me just a second, guys. Bring you over here so you can see a little better. Woo! Now you can't see it all. There we go. That's a little better. Now I got to get used to looking over here to see you, though. Okay, so so this is a person here who doesn't use any illegal drugs. They maybe use prescription medication as prescribed by a doctor. They take it as prescribed. They're a non-addict, right? But they smoke a little weed. There's the marijuana that they smoke. This is to represent the marijuana in this person's life. Now, right over here, we have the old Matt Jablonski. We have a person who does every drug he can get his hands on, right? Wow, that is a terrible circle. But we have a person who does meth. He'll take pills. He'll do cocaine. He'll do heroin and anything else that comes his way. He takes it all, right? And he also smokes marijuana. So this right here is the marijuana in his life. So now marijuana becomes the gateway between these two worlds. Just by this person using marijuana, they can inadvertently end up hanging around this guy. And this guy has no problem with offering you these other drugs, right? He's like, hey, man, you know, that's cool that you want to buy some weed, but I got some really good coke. You want to try that, man, or whatever? So this guy can end up bringing this person into this world. That's the gateway factor, as I call it. My theory that I've come up with is that, yes, this is very true. You can have a person who lives a relatively clean life end up in a world of active addiction by using marijuana because they inadvertently end up hanging around people that use other drugs. But we can also take this guy here and send him back through the gateway using marijuana and send him back to a clean life. And that's my My reverse gateway theory that we could maybe, and the proof that I have on this is sitting right in front of you, me. This works for some people. It truly does. Let's see, bring you back over to a normal view. Now I'm going to have to adjust that. Oh, see, I screwed up everything, guys. I screwed it up. I broke it. Let's see. That's a little better. There. That's great, right? Oh, now you're king. Now you're cockeyed. See, we're cockeyed. There. We're back to normal. There. What's up, you guys? Thank you guys for sticking with me and looking through that. Let's see. Oh, I've seen you draw this before. Such a good way to explain. Oh, good. Thank you, Brandy. I'm glad you've seen it. Let's see. Tammy, doesn't make me want other drugs. People, places, and playgrounds do. Ooh, that's deep, Tammy. That's deep, right? I always said that, you know, people say, hey, now that you're doing better, you don't come around anymore. No, you get it twisted, bro. Now that I don't come around anymore, I'm doing better. Let's see. Josh and Lori, I went to my first meeting, Maddie. You might remember you was in the meeting when I spoke for the first time ever. It was when I was in Louisiana, and it was a Zoom meeting that sent me a red keychain. Yeah, I do remember that. That's the group that I spoke at. Who hooked me up with that speaking gig? I do remember that though, brother. Let's see. A red keychain for, I think, 90 Days Clean, and I was showing it off until I found out that NA meeting is for total abstinence and I use marijuana, so it felt like false advertising, kind of, if that makes sense. No, I feel you, bro. I feel you. That's where I'm at with it too. You know, there's a lot of times when before I speak for an organization or before I speak at an NA convention or something like that, I always bring it to their attention that I use marijuana and that I am a medical marijuana advocate, because some people don't want to be associated with that. And there are some people in the recovery world that can't be associated with that because they do have this strict 100% clean, zero mind or mood altering substances rule, which is perfectly acceptable, but I think it kind of sucks. It's perfectly acceptable for you not to accept my way of recovery. I understand it. I totally understand if it's not acceptable by your standards. I get that, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of times if I get turned down for speaking at such a thing, it's because literally me being here right now and speaking about this and living a better life as I use marijuana, it proves everything that they say at the beginning of that meeting wrong. You know, that's a big reason why they don't want me to come there and speak, because before they open their meeting, they say that all addicts cannot have any mood or mind altering substances because we understand that what it does to us and that it'll send us down that same path, and a drug is a drug is a drug is a drug. And they sit there and they say all of this stuff to all these people. And then I walk in and I say, yeah, I haven't touched meth in over 3 years, but I still smoke marijuana. And they're like, oh, boy, that really sucks. Anyways, now back to what we were talking about, how this is not a spiritually or religious program, but we all accept God and thank God for everything we do. Not to bash on for recovery programs, just saying. Janine, that's so true. I agree with you. It is what it is. You know, it is what it is. Let's see, Janine, my friends smoke 8 to 10 a day just to get high. Says it helps for his pain, but it doesn't work for all pain. Right on. I feel like some people, I shouldn't say I feel like some people, I know that there's a lot of people out there that use the medical marijuana term loosely. Loosely, to say the least. You know, they spend 3/4 of their paycheck on weed. It's all they talk about. They have weed posters all over their room. When they meet you, the first thing they ask is, do you smoke? And they're constantly stoned out of their mind watching cartoons in their mom's basement. And then they say, no, I use it for medication, bro. I have glaucoma. Or it helps me stay calm, bro. It's not, you know, and it's like, dude, you are straight up addicted to this right now. Like, you have turned it into a degradation in your life. You can't adult. You're living in your mom's basement. You smoke weed all freaking day. You're still watching South Park, bro. We freaking grew up at some point, okay? I still reminisce about watching South Park, and I make a lot of South Park references. But I don't sit around and watch cartoons anymore, bro. I grew up at some point, okay? So if you're still sitting around smoking a bunch of weed and watching South Park, grow the fuck up, okay? Seriously, because you give everybody who's using marijuana and making it work in their life, you give them all a bad name. You give every single one of us a bad name by sitting there eating your freaking Go Fish and watching South Park in your mom's basement. And it drives me nuts. But whatever. If you want to watch Scooby-Doo and sit there and eat cereal in your mom's basement and claim that it helps with your glaucoma and it keeps you calm, bro, that's fine. You just go ahead and lie to yourself. But don't try to piss down my back and tell me it's raining. You know, come up in here and be like, oh yeah, I use marijuana medicinally too, as you're just pie-eyed sitting with your ass on the freaking couch watching Scooby-Doo. Just dude, this is because I get like really, like I normally like fly off the handle, bro. This keeps me calm. Like, stop it, dude. You are messed the F up right now. You can't even see me. Stop it. But all that aside, also, I will add to this whole thing, my reverse gateway factor. I also think this goes good for non-addicts too, because as I said, you know, the gateway factor with, you know, somebody who just smokes weed over here and they want to smoke a joint once, you know, they want to smoke a joint. They don't do anything else wrong. They don't like drinking. It causes them to be a bad person. They don't like other stuff. It causes them to be a bad person. But they find that smoking marijuana, that doesn't lead them down a bad road, right? I think that person should be I think it should be okay for them to go to a dispensary and get medical grade marijuana for recreational use rather than have to go see this guy. You know, so that's why I'm a firm believer in marijuana legalized medicinally and recreationally, because there's plenty of non-addicts out there who live a really badass life, but every once in a while they like to smoke a joint and whatever. I think they should be perfectly allowed to do that, and they shouldn't have to go through this asshole to get their joint that they want to smoke with their wife on a Sunday night. You know what I mean? Like, so I think it's perfectly acceptable. Caitlin Patricia Tanner. Oh, man. I love that girl so much. You guys have no idea. Stephanie, I have 2 puffs in the AM, 2 puffs midday, and 2 at bedtime, and skip all together when pain is tolerable. Right on, Stephanie. That's good to hear. You know, that's great to hear, honestly. It's good for you to, I love it when you guys can share that kind of stuff with me. Because, you know, when I first started this page and I first started talking about, you know, marijuana and recovery and stuff like that, I was so freaking freaked out that people were going to hate this page. I was so freaked out that people were just going to, because I thought, because of the mainstream, you know, that nobody else was making this work with anything in their life. You know, no, everybody else that was making recovery work was 100% clean is kind of this thought I got. And once I started coming out and talking about it and saying it, all of a sudden I got all you guys in my comments, you know, hey, I do it too. Hey, I do it too. You know, hey, actually, I smoke weed. I just never had the balls to say it before because everybody else demonizes it so bad. Just wanted to say that I smoke weed too. Thank you for saying it, you know, and it's opened up this whole new world to me, honestly. It really has. So whatever your truth is, guys, if you're out there trying to spread a message, or if you're out there just trying to live your freaking life in any way, just be truthful to you. You know, just own your truth. Whatever works for you, and say it and be proud of it, you know, because I guarantee you're going to have a lot more support than you think you do. There's going to be a lot more people out there who support your ideas. So don't just start talking and sharing a message that you think people want to hear. Just share the message that works for you. You know, that's the best advice I can give you. Let's see, Tammy, I don't do coffee. Never have. Right on. Now that's something. I don't normally drink coffee unless it's like cold outside. Then I'll have a cup of coffee in the morning. And if I do have coffee, it's usually 1 cup. Otherwise, I get all jittery and stupid. Kathy, let the haters hate, and God knows our hearts. Right on. Right on. You can lie to yourself. Just don't try to lie to me, all right? All right, guys, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. If anybody's looking to become a supporter of The Point of Change, you can go over to patreon.com/thepointoftchange. Sign up at the platinum tier level, and you get your name and your recovery date added to my banner. If anybody has any questions about that or anything, you can always message the page and ask me. I'm an open book. I love you guys so much. Thank you to everyone who's already become a supporter. Thank you to everyone who's planning on becoming a supporter. You guys are the best. There's a link in the description of this video, not only to my Patreon, but also to my merchandise as well. So thank you guys so much. I love you all. I will see you tomorrow. Until then, stay happy, stay healthy and stay clean.